What's going on YouTube? This is KicksArt, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different. A lot of people have been asking me about my process of how I go about coloring in the shoes. Because the videos are sped up, you can't really get that much information of how I go about it. So I kind of wanted to break it down a little bit and make it easier for you guys to understand what I'm doing. For the most part, when I start any drawing, I want to do a section at a time so that way I'm not jumping all over the place. And what I try to do is, so like for this bottom section, the outsole, I'll do a first coat all the way through with the light blue that I have. And then with the same light blue, I'll go through and I'll start hugging towards the bottom of the shoe, and I'll progressively put more and more layers. With Sharpies and stuff, you can't really do this as well because when you go through the same color with the Sharpie, it's pretty much at its color that it's going to be. You're not going to get too much of a gradient going. With Prismacolors, with Copics, the more you lay the colors over each other, you can get different tints and shades of the same color. So as you're going to see right now, I'm just going through the upper with the red. I just want to get that first base coat going so that way I can see how it looks all together. And with the first coat by itself, the color is going to look pretty much flat. And that's okay because I just want to see how it looks together. I don't really want to worry about blending too much because especially when you're first starting out, when you're blending one small section at a time, it may not look right because you're only dealing with that one section. You don't really know how it looks as the whole thing goes through. Part of blending is understanding that if it's consistent, it's going to look good. If you're worried about how one section looks but you haven't even done the whole shoe yet, you haven't done the other parts, then you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. So with this top right now, I'm going through with the darker red. With the lighter red, I can only layer it so much with the same color, so it wouldn't really make too much of a difference. But you see with the darker red, I'm starting to go towards the bottom half of the upper in each one of the sections, and I'm starting to give it a little bit of a gradient. Now keep in point, look how it's looking right now. There's not really gradient, it's two reds that are taking the upper, and it really doesn't look too special. But now I'm going with that first lighter red, and I'm starting to layer it over the initial part that I had where the two colors meet, and it's starting to blend in that red a little bit. And the key is to continuously do this so that way the colors will blend enough so where you can't really see that line, and it makes it smooth in its transition. So towards the bottom of each section, I might layer the red, the darker red, maybe 5 times. Whereas the top of the section will only have that light red that I did once. And I might touch it up again twice, but as you go down, that's where you're going to see more and more layers. Especially with the darker colors, you really want to try to use that on the bottom parts of whatever section you're doing. And you really want to be careful because if you use your darker red and you make it go a little bit too high, then you're going to have a hard time trying to cover that part up, which means you're going to have to use that same darker color or whatever you use, and you're going to have to make a consistent line with it, and then you're going to have to try to blend that part up. And I know for some of you these markers might be a little bit expensive. You can practice this with pencils. You don't have to use markers. Take a pencil, put pressure down, and then continuously add more and more pressure, and you can practice this so that way when you actually do get your markers, you'll be a pro at it. Alright guys, leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe. I'm uploading every day now. Peace.